All right, Matt, are you able to see my view now that I've rejoined the call?
It sure can.
Okay, great. So folks, as mentioned, this is now going to be a live demonstration of Dynamics 365 guides in the HoloLens. I'd like to go over a couple brief things before I dive into the demo. The first is, as mentioned earlier, the HoloLens is a transparent display. This means I can see my physical environment around me. I can have holographic content that's going to assist me as I perform the work. And because this is a head-mounted display, I've got my hands free in order to be able to perform any tasks or steps. I've actually joined this call through Guides. So Guides has Teams integration. You can see down here we've got our Teams call log. And I also have up here my first step for the guide. You'll see this as we step through that Guides generally has a card with a set of text information. There are images and videos that can be attached or schematics onto the left-hand side of each particular step. And we can also provide holographic content, as you can see here, that can help assist with the various sets of work instructions. As I navigate this guide, I'll be doing it primarily using my gaze. And what that means is you can see this white dot here hovering at the bottom of the card. And you can think of this as a laser pointer that is shooting out from my forehead. And as I move my head around with the HoloLens, I can move this pointer wherever I want. So when we complete this first step, I can just simply put the pointer over this arrow and it will take me to the next step in the process. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we are going to set up this Sonitek thermal press. So the equipment we're working with should match the image, so we'll do a spot check to make sure we are getting the right set of work instructions. And I can see here, this is the Sonitek S3 thermal press, so we're good to go. It's generally best practice to start your guides with any safety protocols and make sure that you explain those safety protocols before the user might need them. So this guide starts out by showing where the emergency stop is on the machine. We've got a photo here highlighting it, and we also have a hologram showing us that if we need to engage the emergency stop, we can push in the button. I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I can now see here on this display that the E-stop is depressed. To reset the machine after engaging the emergency stop, we will pull the button out. We'll see a reset button on the touch display, which we can use to bring the machine back into normal operation. Once again, I've got a photo and some holograms to assist me. This out and push the reset button. Now, one of the things about this guide that was useful in particular was folks didn't realize that this is a touch display. So they were looking for a physical reset button, thinking that the display was telling them to push that. This little hand here made it very clear that they need to actually push the screen. Next, we're going to show the active operation area. We want to keep everything clear of this area while we are engaging the machine. And now we're going to prep for use. We're going to start up the air compressor located at the bottom of the machine, flip the red lever back, and start the compressor. This is one of the steps where this sort of animated daisy chain to draw my attention can be especially useful. Wherever this step card is, that daisy chain is going to take me to the right location. So if I were to put this over here, and maybe I needed to work at this end of the bench, this is still going to guide me down to the compressor, no matter where that step card is. And so I can see here that this red lever is already flipped back, so it looks like we are all set for the compressor. I'm going to go ahead and put this back near my work area and carry on. So as I'm going through these steps, everything is being tracked back to the database that Guide sits on, and you can use this to keep track of your operational compliance and also keep track of how people are doing as they're progressing through the guides. This says to flip this lever on to turn on the machine. We are already turned on. The tracking information that Guides is storing keeps track of things like who is running the guide, so my name will be attached to this particular run through, as well as how much time I am spending on each step. And you can use that information to determine who might be having trouble on particular steps, or if overall all of your operators are taking a long time on a particular step, and that can generally mean you might want to make things a little bit easier or break it down into smaller tasks. For this next step, we need to twist the red knob on the side of the machine counterclockwise to start pressurizing. And we have a handy arrow here showing me the direction to make sure I'm twisting in the right direction. There we go. And then we need to wait a few moments and check that the pressure gauge is at least 60 psi. Once again, an image if I need it. And down here, we're going back to the compressor. It might be a little hard for you folks to see on the video feed, but we are above 60. Now we want to make sure that the temperature is in range. It needs to be at least 160 degrees. I can see here that we are at 180. And now the machine's ready for use. To engage the machine, make sure our active area is clear. That's our reminder from previously. And push both buttons on the side of the machine at the same time. Here we go. I've got my little hologram showing me what to do. And it looks like nothing happens. So now the guide's asking me, did everything operate properly? And it doesn't look like it, so I'm gonna go ahead and say no. And this is where guides can really be especially helpful. You can create branching pathways and ask for feedback from the users. Depending on what they choose, your guide can then explain what sort of steps they need to take in order to troubleshoot, or can log that they made certain statements about the machine, like whether temperatures were in range or not, and you can track all of that, again, on the back end in the database, either by building out Power BI dashboards or building a Power Automate process that can listen for things happening as people run through guides and send out alerts. So now the guide's saying if the machine didn't function properly, we need to check the air pressure and temperature again. We just did that, so I think we're going to be okay, but let's see what it says. It says the air pressure should be at least 60 psi, and our temperature should be at least 160. Yep, we are still in range for the pressure, and as you can see, we're still in range for the temp. So I've got three options here. Either the temperature is too low, the pressure is too low, or both are correct. So I'm going to say both are correct because they are. And now it's asking me to check to make sure that the compressor is connected. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that. It looks like we don't have any connection here, so that's probably why things are not working. We're missing that feeder line. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. Feeder line is not connected. And now it's instructing me that I should take a break here and talk to my lab supervisor because the compressor is probably in use for another piece of lab equipment, and we need to wait until it's available before we can continue. So what you've seen here basically is that I got some basic instructions on how to operate this Sonitek thermal press. I ran into an issue and I was able to partially troubleshoot that issue using the guide. All of this got written back to a database, and you would actually be able to see that I stated that the machine was not working properly and that it was probably because we don't have the air hose connected. And you can see all of that in your Power BI dashboards or by setting up Power Automate alerts that are integrated into your guide's environment. I'm going to go ahead and end this guide. And so that's it for guides on the HoloLens, but guides is also available on your mobile device, and that can be especially useful if you don't have access to your HoloLens or it needs to recharge.